how can you be a financial advisor, of any kind and not be pushing Bitcoin to your investors or not even mention or poo-poo it when it is the best performing financial asset in the past 16 years? Not by a little bit, Danny. We have never had a form of money that would not be diluted in some form or fashion. There's never been such a thing. Even gold, 1.7% a year, every 45 years, the amount of gold on the planet doubles. 21 million, it's fixed. I think that fact right there explains why it can go up forever. I fully expect that kind of in the tail end of this year, probably in the next, 3 months, we're in September now, I see us at the end of the year at 140, 150 Bitcoin. And who knows, maybe the Bitcoin overshoots and goes to 150. Maybe we correct a little bit then. And I think this cycle takes us to kind of 200, 250 in Bitcoin.
In today's video, Larry Lepard explains why Bitcoin's exponential growth is far from over and why gold's latest breakout is a signal of what's coming next. He unpacks the simple but powerful truth of fixed supply, why advisors ignoring Bitcoin are missing the biggest trade of our time, and how gold often moves first before Bitcoin surges much higher. Larry also shares charts comparing gold, Bitcoin, and global M2, showing why this cycle could push Bitcoin toward $200,000 to $250,000 and gold toward $5,000. And don't forget to join our Telegram group. I drop exclusive Bitcoin insights and daily market updates there. Links in the description below. Let's catch Larry up to know more.
That's crazy about throwing out numbers like Bitcoin going to 1 million is when I first got into Bitcoin, people talked about $1 million, and it always, even to Bitcoiners, like I think they knew it would happen eventually, but it still seemed like a crazy thing to say. But now it's like, it feels like it's right around the corner. I mean, I don't know if we'll get to 2030 before Bitcoin's $1 million.
I agree. It really does. I mean, so it grows in order of magnitude. I mean, so it went from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 100,000. I mean, was it 6 or 7 orders of magnitude, and it's been around for 15 years. So now it was more rapid in the earlier years, but and that's slowing down as sailors pointed out. The ARR has come down, but it's going to do another order of magnitude. And that's going to do another order of magnitude after that. I mean, someday it's going to go to 10 million, but that's probably quite some ways out because it like I say, it is slowing down. But yeah, I mean, I remember very clearly back in the depths of the bull market or the bear market in gold, and things were down, and I don't know, this was 2016 or 17 or 18, and thinking to myself, boy, if this, and I owned a bunch of Bitcoin, thinking to myself, boy, if this ever got to 10, 20, 30,000, I'd be feeling pretty good about life. It was like at 4 at the time, and, then it went up and I got to 20. I was like, if this ever got to 100, I'd be feeling really good about life. And, and now it's at 100. And, yeah, the goalposts kind of keep moving, but it's a hard, I mean, I've said this before, it's a hard thing to get your head around. And I say that, I said this in another podcast. I think it's an important point to make. We have never had a form of money that would not be diluted in some form or fashion. There's never been such a thing. Even gold, 1.7% a year, every 45 years, the amount of gold on the planet doubles. 21 million, it's fixed. I think that fact right there explains why it can go up forever, because the supply is perfectly inelastic. And so, I think that fact right there is also why it's really hard for people to get their heads around it.
I think that's exactly right, because it's so simple, but then people end up getting stuck in the minutiae and don't allow themselves just to believe that fact.
Yeah, if you believe that fact, if the demand just keeps on growing and the supply is fixed,
the only thing left to change is price.
The only thing left to change is price. Yeah, that's it. And by the way, and it's not, okay, so you could have said that a bunch of years ago, but you would have, the volatility and everything, say, am I right about it? But man, now you got 16 years of this shit. Do you know what I mean? And no financial asset. I mean, there's so many amazing things going on. How can you be a financial advisor, of any kind, and not be pushing Bitcoin to your investors, or not even mention or poo-poo it when it is the best performing financial asset in the past 16 years? Not by a little bit, Danny, by an enormous amount.
You're just proving you're terrible at your job.
Yeah, right? How can you do that? I mean, I get it. If you didn't get it out earlier on, fine. If you're skeptical, fine. If you're still skeptical, fine. But at some point, the evidence, I mean, your lying eyes, I mean, the price, you just can't ignore it, right?
I was talking to Eric Yakes about this recently, and he was saying the same thing. And I do understand why you might have been skeptical in, 2015, 2016, 2017. But like right
Absolutely.
now, all the facts are on our side. You can't disagree with what we're saying. It is factually
No,
accurate.
you really can't. I mean, there still is a little bit of this, core protocol risk stuff. I mean, I haven't dug deep into that. I don't want to express a view on one side or the other. I mean, I have some gut feelings about it, but let me say it this way. I remember being at Sailor's place a long time, like in Bitcoin Miami, a couple of things ago, maybe 3 things ago, 22 or I don't know what year it was. And a couple of us asked him, we said, like, what do you worry about with respect to Bitcoin? He said the only thing that could screw this up is if Core, goes rogue and just does a bunch of stupid shit. And he said, even that, I'm not terribly worried about because of the consensus and the way that everybody votes on it. And I don't think, it'll be allowed to go in that direction.
Yeah.
But, there's that. I mean, and then more recently, people have said, well, the quantum risk is a real risk. And I'm not a computer scientist. I'm not an expert on that. All I know is what I read and listen to. Probably the one I trust the most is Lynn, who says, she doesn't see it as being a risk within a 5-year window. And to the degree that it did become a risk for cracking the SHA-256, eventually you'd do a hard fork with its core that's quantum resistant. So, you set those two things aside, it feels pretty certain to me that it's going to continue as it has, TikTok next block,
Yeah. With the quantum stuff, there's stuff we can do to mitigate that if it ever becomes a real risk. And with the NOTs core stuff, like my opinion on it is that, like, ideologically, I get what the NOTs people are saying, but I really don't think that this new version of core is going to be have any detrimental impact to Bitcoin. Like, this isn't a risk to Bitcoin.
I hope you're right. I know people are on the other side of that. I've listened to it. You know what? I'm not technical enough to figure it out myself. So I don't want to express an opinion on just some half-baked, view. I just don't know,
I mean, I think the important part, like, this is a mempool policy change. It's nothing to do with consensus. Like, we're going to be absolutely fine. I'm convinced of that.
I hope you're right. That's reassuring to me, actually, because a lot of my wealth is in Bitcoin.
Yeah, again, my opinion, I'm not speaking for anyone else here, but it's not going to be a problem for Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure.
I'm glad to hear you believe that. Yeah, I hope you're right.
I do. Just lastly, I know before you started, you pulled up a chart that I think we should look at, because one of the things that you've said over and over again is that gold moves first, Bitcoin moves fastest. So you think that we're about to have a bit of an explosion in Bitcoin price?
Yeah, let me just give me a moment here. Let me just find it on my screen. So this is a chart that my partner and I, David Foley, use a lot. Just for people watching. So this chart so this is from 2018 to present. It's a little out of date because gold's now over 3,500. And this is the price of gold in gold and the price of Bitcoin in orange. Funny, I picked that color. But note the scales are very, very different. Gold has gone from 1,000 to 3,000. It's now 3,600. So it'd be the upper right-hand corner, be a little higher. And the orange is Bitcoin, but the scales are different. It's gone from 10,000 to 117,000, right? So Bitcoin's moved a lot farther than gold, but that's not the point of the chart. The point of the chart is the synchronization to some degree. They've kind of generally moved together, but here's what I found most interesting. Look at the beginning. Look at 2018, 2019, 2020. Look at how far. So there was a lot of monetary debasement in 2019 and 2020 as Powell pivoted and then COVID happened. And you could just kind of smell the money printer warming up and going again. And look at how gold took off like a rocket. Okay. And it went from, I don't know, call it 750 to, almost up to 2,000, right? At the peak in 2020. And during that same time frame, look at how Bitcoin just languished along. I think on the scale here, I think it was around 10,000 about the time. It actually been as low as 5, but it was kind of 10 in this window. And then suddenly, when the COVID thing really started to kick in, everybody figured out what Bitcoin was. Holy shit. Bitcoin went from 10 to 60 really fast. So gold moved first. Bitcoin crushed it when it moved. Much, much more movement. Okay, so then they kind of both calmed down. Gold dipped down. Notice again, gold dipped first. Bitcoin was still running. Gold was dipping. Whoops. Bitcoin followed it down. Sam Bankman-Fried played a role in that. Then notice how, gold starts to level off and we got a secondary run in Bitcoin because that whole run had been truncated by Bankman-Fried and the China thing. So it's a little bit of an anomaly. Then gold's kind of flat. Bitcoin came down there. The correlation didn't really work too much.
I think the correlation didn't work there, though, because that was like Checkmate describes that as the scam pump, because it was basically all the arbitrage, all the FTX stuff, the 3AC stuff. Like, I think you can almost ignore that second pump.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, you're right. FTX wasn't 2021. It was over here. You're right. Okay. So then, then they kind of moved together. And actually, Bitcoin led gold down a little in 2022. Tighter monetary conditions. Okay, so now Bitcoin is enjoying, kind of the free money and everything. And when the free money gets taken away, Bitcoin gets slammed hard. Gold got slammed not as hard, but that's fitting with the, Bitcoin moves a lot further and faster, right? But here, but here again, notice this, in late 2022, gold starts moving up. Bitcoin's still flat, right? Yeah, it comes up a little bit. Gold moves up even further. Okay, Bitcoin goes up a little bit more. Then you get a downturn in 2023, gold starts moving down. Bitcoin's still going up. Oh, but Bitcoin follows gold down. Okay, so now gold starts moving up again. And this time there wasn't much of a lag. Bitcoin catches up. Then Bitcoin really catches up. Then you pause, but gold moves out of the pause again first. Then Bitcoin comes and goes crazy up again, right? And so my point here is just that they're correlated, but often gold smells it first. And right now, gold is cooking. We're over 3,600. We're running to 3,700. And everybody's kind of tired. It's amazing to me, right? Everyone's frustrated that Bitcoin's at 115. I mean, if you told me back here Bitcoin was going to be at 115, I'd have said hallelujah, right? I mean, and or that MicroStrategy. I mean, I howl at all these MicroStrategy people who are just crying in their beer that Saylor's done them wrong because MicroStrategy hasn't moved for a while. Well, just wait, guys. MicroStrategy is going to 1,000 plus. And the point is that gold smells what's coming next because it's already moving, whereas Bitcoin is still lagging a little bit. But there's another chart, I don't have it here, but it shows M2, global M2, and it continues to grow and it's starting to go up. The global M2 is now growing at about 4.8% a year. It actually went slightly negative when Powell tightened things greatly in 2022, but we're back to growing. We've hit an all-time high. And all I would say is, Bitcoin people should be just rooting for gold because it's the early indicator. And so I fully expect that kind of in the tail end of this year, probably in the next, 3 months, we're in September now, I see us at the end of the year at 140, 150 Bitcoin and maybe $4,000 gold. And who knows, maybe the Bitcoin overshoots and goes to 150. Maybe we correct a little bit then. And I think this cycle takes us to kind of 200, 250 in Bitcoin. I think this cycle maybe takes us to 5,000 in gold. I don't know. It's look, some of this is just reading tea leaves and it's impossible to know with great certainty what's going to happen. But I find I want to offer words of encouragement to the Bitcoin people. Don't be mad that gold's running, be happy because it's about to come to you. and I own both. I own both. So
October is right around the corner. Bitcoin's going to rip.
That wraps up today's breakdown with Larry Lepard. His message is clear. Gold may move first, but Bitcoin always moves fastest, and the next leg up could be historic. If you got value from this video, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next update. And remember, join our Telegram group for exclusive Bitcoin insights and daily market updates. Link is in the description. Stay tuned, stay focused, and stack smart.